morning, doesn't it bring a tear to your eye? The very car that used to drive up to the very Crossroads motel. Well, tonight will be the 4,508th edition. Only 4 left, and the whole show is being axed on Sunday after 24 years. Well, is it good riddance to bad rubbish as far as you're concerned, or is it a sad moment in the history of British soaps?
Yeah, we can prove it all actually exists today, because this is the Penn's Hall Hotel in North Birmingham, where all the exterior shots for Crossroads was actually filmed, and it is a real hotel.
You'd have thought, though, somebody would have come to meet me, wouldn't you?
Somebody at least to carry the bags.
I'll take your bags for you, Miss Patsy. Hello, Eamon.
Hello, Benny. You're much nicer in real life.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, you, in fact, were one of the people in the latest troubles of Crossroads who actually got the old elbow, didn't you?
Yeah, the canteen lady told me.
You didn't actually know?
Well, what they did, they did need my woolly hat to warm the motel teapots, and one of us had to go. Well, anyway, come on.
Will you take me a look round?
Yeah, because I've got to take Moses for a walk now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, they go and find out the sights of the hotel. Let me tell you that the whole end of Crossroads happens on Easter Monday night. That's when the final episode will take place. Now, today we'll be sort of wallowing in nostalgia. We'll also be answering your direct questions, your forthright opinions, what you thought of Crossroads. Should it have come to an end? Should there be a spin-off series? Whatever. 061 814 0424 is the number to ring. But let's now take a look at some of the memories contained in Crossroads. We've put together this little compilation of its history.
OK, Amy, I'll take over now. You can go and have your coffee if you like.
Oh, thanks, Diane. I shan't be long.
Oh, there's no hurry.
I thought you was going shopping.
I am. Lunchtime. I got the afternoon off.
Oh, well, I hope it keeps fine for you. And then I met her husband. Well, after all the things she'd said about him, I was expecting something like Tarzan at the very least. Turned out to be a little man with glasses who looked like a mouse.
Well, appearances can be deceptive.
True.
Well, you've done a marvellous job.
Oh, just finished, have you?
Just this minute.
Oh, it looks super.
Doesn't it? Thanks.
Well, you certainly look better for it.
Mm-hmm.
The holiday.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't feel better. I've got a cold since I got back.
No.
I hear you've moved back to the Harveys.
Oh, you've heard about Widow End, then?
Yeah. Looks as though Vince is going to have a white elephant on his hands.
Somebody talking about me again?
Those clips courtesy of Central Television. How could you forget some of those scenes? No, I certainly don't. And it helps put it all really in perspective by actually being here. Now, we're going to go off and meet some of the stars involved in the programme, like Miss Look, Benny, Glenda, Iris, and, of course, Jill and Adam Chance. On the outskirts of Birmingham, isn't it?
Penn's Hall.
Penn's Hall, even, yes.
I'm still casting a dreadful shadow over you, you know.
And this was just one of the many locations, of course, used for Crossroads throughout the years, wasn't it?
This was the cosiest.
Yes,
Really?
we had our leisure centre as well, which was the House of Robin.
Right.
We had Tamworth in Arden as well.
Tamworth,
It was
yes.
very, very nice.
And you, Jane, have, of course, been involved in the series right from day one in 1964 or so. And a lot's made of the fact, you know, the pressure that soap stars are under and whatever, but apparently Crossroads had the most punishing schedule of the lot. I mean, you had more airtime.
It was an assault course, it wasn't a show. Joking apart.
Mind you, having said that, the first 20-something years weren't quite so bad. It's the last 4 that have been more than an assault course because of going out filming.
Right, you weren't used to this, of course. This was a new added
we
dimension.
were doing 4 shows a week. We were in the studio for 2 whole quite long days. Then we had 3 days rehearsal, but during that rehearsal we were out filming as well. So we were rushing around like mad. It started out at 6:30, 7. Well, I'd leave the house at 6:30, go in for makeup at 7:30, go out on the bus to the location, sit around for a bit, do a scene.
But
Then
filming
they-
8 episodes.
Then they'd
you
say, "Are you
understand?
going back to rehearsal?" Say, "Oh, I'll get the next week's script and look at what I was supposed to have learned for rehearsal."
So were all the old jokes true, where people criticised the quality of the programme and the sets falling down and actors forgetting their lines?
That was because of the tight schedule originally, because we didn't have time to do
happen after the
retakes. It
first.
didn't. It did get better.
We did actually have editing facilities. We didn't have any editing facilities or anything. Yeah. We had 3/4 of an hour to do the show. We started at 7 o'clock, say, for the evening show. And we had to finish by 7:45. So if we didn't start on the dot of 7 o'clock, if we didn't get actually started till 7:10, time was ticking away. So there was no chance. So that you could go back if you made a dreadful... If everything went wrong in the first scene, you could go back and do it. If everything went wrong in the last
But
scene...
people love that. They ran a book. There was one university that actually ran a book on mistakes. I mean, that was part of the fun. This is why Crossroads was so popular. It was part of the fun.
And also, bear in mind, we had to be absolutely spot on time. So we wouldn't get a run until we did the dress run. And then they'd say, we're 2.5 minutes under. Quick, what are we going to do? Oh, I know, you can pour some coffee, you can have a phone call, do this. And then, of course, no one told props that you were going to have coffee. So they'd bring the coffee in and put it down. You'll pick the coffee pot up and think, there's no coffee in it.
You can, straight from the horse's mouth, it won't be burnt down.
I don't think we want to commit ourselves to things
Well,
like
I
this,
don't think it'll be burnt down, folks. I think we've got a cast iron assurance there. Tony, from your point of view, I used to remember you in a series called General Hospital.
Yes.
When did you, we saw you at the reception desk there, when did you first come to the hotel?
I first came to the motel in 1968 as a 48-year-old estate agent.
My,
Mr.
haven't you
Perkins.
preserved well?
Then I came back in 1978 because I was so popular as a 42-year-old accountant. And have we gone on? I was hoping to come along
As a
in
teenager.
1998 as a 17-year-old layabout.
Okay, I've got a phone call here, and Sylvia Garrett's on the line. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi,
Hi, Sylvia. Where are you phoning from?
Ashby Delazouche.
Okay, and what was your question?
Morning, Jane.
It's for you, Jane.
Yes, hello.
Hello. I've watched your show, Crossroads, virtually from the start. In fact, I'm the third generation. I used to watch it. Can you hear me?
No, Jane would love to answer this question, but the problem is she can't hear you, but I can hear you in my ear. Can we get sound here on the floor?
Very, very, very soft. Speak up.
Go ahead, Sylvia.
Oh, hello. Is that
that's
better?
better.
Right,
Ah,
good.
I was just saying, I've watched your show virtually from the start.
Yes. Good.
I'm the third generation. I used to watch it with my mum, and now my daughter watches it with me. And I
Good,
just wondered,
yes.
your character of Jill has gone through so many changes over the years.
You've noticed.
I just wondered if you'd had any say in your character, and have you enjoyed playing her so much?
Well, I suppose I've had the odd grumble when something was mooted that I didn't like the idea of very much. On the whole, you do get a little bit of say, but not very much, because obviously decisions are taken when you're not around at script meetings and things like that. Scripts are written, and it's only when I get to look at the script, really it's too late to alter things very much. But I've quite enjoyed the way, I mean, a lot of things have happened, but a lot of things do happen to people in 24 years, don't they? I mean, people do change quite dramatically in 20 years, but I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
Sylvia, what are you going to do now once the series comes to an end?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. You're going to miss it.
I am actually, although you sort of moan and groan sometimes when you put the television on, it's sort of part of my life now. Every night now at 6:30, or over the years when it's been on, I've put it on, and as I say, I've sat there and watched it either with my mother and now with my little girl, and she thoroughly enjoys it as well.
What was your favourite period from the show?
Ooh. I used to enjoy it in the early days. When as far back as I can remember, I used to like it when Jill first bought the boutique.
Oh, the boutique.
And Stan, Edward Clayton, who went out of it, came round. He was an electrician, wasn't he? And he came round to fit your lights up.
Yes.
And that's virtually... And the old kitchen, and old Carlos in the kitchen.
Yes, yes. The kitchen was a marvellous set. It was a very difficult set because obviously you had to have all this catering stuff going on, and there was always great pots boiling away with nothing in them usually. But it was quite a tricky set because we were always having to cook things and make things, so you actually had to do them in that space of time. And I can remember once, do you remember once Lizzie, our stage manager, had bought a whole load of scampi and somebody hadn't put them in the fridge and they all defrosted all over the place. And at the end of the show, all this scampi was lying around, it got to be thrown away. So we cooked it and we ate it and had it for lunch and it was great.
Mm-hmm. So, Tony, what about Adam Chance? Do you like him as a character?
No, I've never liked Adam. Never liked him.
He's not too much like you then?
I don't know. When he first happened, I remember I thought I'd come from General Hospital and I thought, well, he'll be the same, really. Not being a proper actor, he'll be exactly the same as Neville Bywaters. And I thought, I'll shave my moustache off, I thought, and that'll fool them, you see. They'll think it's somebody new and they won't find out about me. And I saw him go on and I thought he was slimy, unpredictable. No, he's not a nice character, but I think he was very interesting to play. I enjoyed playing him because he could vary himself so much.
Good, okay. Let's now speak to Carol Willis. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Hi, Carol. What's your question?
Oh, I'd like to ask Jane. She's been in right from the first programme. And I just wondered, has she any plans for life after Crossroads?
Well, yes, I hope there is. Yes, I hope there will be, yes.
You've got the book out with the memories of Crossroads.
Yes.
So your name is going to be kept in the headline, so to speak. But have you any television work lined up or such?
Well, there's one or two things sort of mooted, but I don't think I can say too much about that yet.
Oh, well, we will still see you, though, that is
yes,
it.
I hope so, I hope so.
So you're not pessimistic about the future?
No, not particularly.
But it will be very, very difficult for you, presumably, 24 years, 5 days a week, sort of committed to Crossroads, and then moving into a totally different line of work.
Yes.
Presumably.
Well, life's like that, isn't it? And anyway, you say 24 years. The first 10, I used to come and go a lot more. It's only really the last, since I got married, that I thought, really, any time I have off from the show, I really ought to be at home. Now the children are quite a lot older, so my daughter's 13, and my son's 9, so they're not quite the babies they were then. So I think I can think about going off and doing other things and getting around the country a bit.
Tony, is it, should you take it for granted, is it a bad thing for an actor and actress to get attached to a programme like this?
I think it depends entirely on the actor or actress. I personally used to love the fact that we had routine. I'm not one of these actors that would want to be playing Hamlet at the National and waiting 9 months for the opportunity to come up, because I know that it never would for me. I love the fact that you could have a break, take a holiday, and you had a job to come back to. I love the routine of soap and of a series. That worked for me, but it doesn't work for every actor. But I loved it personally. And I think there is life after Crossroads.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do after Crossroads?
I'm going to get my teeth fixed. I'm going to get a new hairpiece put on. No, it's being able to actually go and see people, and because we didn't have time, we didn't have the reliability of being able to make an appointment to see anybody. And that is the exciting part. And then when all my teeth are done, I'll think about getting the job. But it's very interesting. Now, you see, what went out, and you being shown in a vulnerable position, is how we have often been seen by the general public. And we are the ones that are up front, and it's us that have been... She's going to drop that tray. She's not very good, my friend, who's about to come on. She had a gin at 7:30.
Come in here.
Come on, bring it in.
Yes, there's some coffee in it. Oh, good.
There you are. We've got the waitress service here. Hi, Glenda.
Hello.
Hi. In real life, actress Lynette McDonough.
McMorra.
McMorra.
Close.
It's one of those days. Well, I'll have a cup of tea.
I think you're out of luck. It's all coffee, isn't it?
We're having a sort of old reunion here. All the old
Just what you said.
Oh, no, not
dear.
Would you mind, please? I've got to get
this lady I do know. I can vouch for this. Miss Luke, how are you?
Miss Luke, how
nice
do
to
you do?
see you. Kathy Staff.
Oh,
hello.
Luke, it's Miss Luke.
Well, we all know what happened to you after Crossroads.
Yes.
You went on to bigger and better things, I suppose we could say.
Well, I wouldn't say better, and I wouldn't say bigger. Different.
Yeah.
I think Crossroads was one of the happiest times of my life. We had such a wonderful time. It was such a lovely company.
Yes.
Right from Jack
Yes.
Barton, the
Yes.
producer, straight down. We had so much fun. It really was a pleasure to do it.
Yes,
And I was in
you were
it for
very
7
happy to be
years.
associated with it then.
Very, very happy, yes. I loved every minute of it.
Lynette, what about you now? What are you doing? Life after Crossroads?
There wasn't a lot of life after Crossroads for a bit, but no, it went a bit quiet. I think I expected that a bit, you know. But,
The last we heard of you, of course, you emigrated to Canada, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We came back for Mum's wedding, though, didn't we? We
Yes.
popped back for that.
Yes.
But you went to the loo for a year.
I did, yes. Had a terrible affliction. Yes, I went to the loo. I didn't come out for a year. That was one of my major storylines. Disappearance of the loo, yes. But, yes, good at that.
Glenda had a complicated life, though, didn't she?
Oh, gosh, what a misery.
She originated as what? A really troublesome teenager, didn't she?
She was a runaway, yes. She was supposed to be, when I first went in, she was supposed to be a 16-year-old runaway who got attacked by a lorry driver. On my way my way to join Pan's people, which I thought was good. That was my favourite bit of that script. So I was off to London to join Pan's people. And there was sort of stunned silence. There would be, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I got attacked by a lorry driver, and things basically went downhill from there, really. But I sort of went in and out. I wasn't in it all the time. I went in for that storyline and then went away and then came back and matured before their very eyes.
Talk about this all night. Let's not talk to Mark Allen. Hi, Mark. Hello, Mark Allen.
Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Come on, girls.
What's your question?
I have to speak to Kathy Staff.
Yes.
Does Kathy rather like playing Miss Fluke, or would she rather play Nora Batson?
Well, I like playing them both, really.
Is there any difference? That's what I want to know.
Oh, yes. Doris is hard, but she's got a heart of gold. But Nora, I mean, she's just a dragon, isn't she, really? But I enjoyed playing them both. They were completely different characters, really. The only thing they had in common was that they were Northern. But I love playing them both. Of course, Nora is continuing now, and of course, Doris has gone with the motel, I suppose. But we are starting another series of Summer Wine in August, so I suppose it will be shown later on in the year.
Good, good. Have we got Sandra Baker on the line? Have we got Sandra?
Yes.
Hello, Sandra. How are you? You're another big Crossroads fan?
Yes.
Right. Have you worked out what you think's going to happen here when the series comes to an end?
No, not really.
What's your question?
I want to speak to Jill and Adam.
Yeah.
I want to know whether they're going to get back together again.
Doesn't everyone?
The answer to that is that we're not sure, because we keep reading in the paper, and this is the way that we survive in Crossroads. You get up and you read one of the local tabloids, and it says whether you go into work or not. They actually say that there is a scene that we have not seen yet. I haven't done it, have you?
No, I haven't. No. But I thought you'd gone off and done it quite the other way.
Well, I thought you had. So, the answer is we don't know. I think I disappear down the pluggo.
So, you have shot a couple of alternative endings. Is that what's happening?
This is what we've read.
Mind you, it's amazing what they can do in editing these days.
Right.
I mean, you do a scene and it doesn't look anything like that.
But basically, just to remind people what's happening, you fancy at the moment this guy who runs the pub in the village. What's his name?
John.
John.
John Maddingham.
Right. But also, Adam is
still
quite
lurking
interested in
Adam doesn't fancy John.
No.
Well, who am I to say? But basically, I mean, you two have not been divorced really in the series. You are separated, but
we
not
keep
divorced.
talking about
it. Depends, actually. Sometimes you get the conflict that we have been divorced, and then it sort of disappears again. We're not quite sure, but I think we're still together.
I think didn't we get to the stage when?
Sorry, I'm not going to stand in the cold anymore.
Oh my God!
Move up.
Benny.
Well, I've never waited so long for an entrance. You've used me as much on this show as I did in Crossroads in the last year. Shall I do the weather now, or shall we leave it? Oh, hello, everybody. Have I got some good angles here?
So what happened to you, Paul Henry, as Benny then? Did you go out to the loo and didn't come back?
Well, I don't know what it was. I was standing on top of a chair, putting a star on top of the tree. And that's where they left me.
He went with the fairies.
Yes.
So, it was never actually explained what happened to Benny?
No. I think it was one of the old stories, went into the fridge for half a pound of cheese and come out 5 years later, you know.
Yes.
So what happened in real life?
What happened in real life?
Did your contract come to an end? Were you told you just weren't required?
Well, I fell off the chair and took me out with me. No, they finished me a bit earlier than I thought they'd finish me.
Right.
Yeah.
I
suppose that's a sack, isn't it?
Are you a twisted and bitter man after all?
Oh, no. No, I'm not. I mean, I had 13 good years with it.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, 12. Last year I wasn't too happy with it, but the first 12 years were fabulous.
Well, what do you think of the new Crossroads? I keep calling it Crossroads, but of course it's not called Crossroads anymore. It's called King's
Head. No, they changed the name, yeah.
Yeah.
That was good, wasn't it?
I'm glad we brought you on. I think we're going to find out a lot of interesting things from you today. So
no, not really.
What did you think of the new scenario?
Pardon?
King Soap.
Well, it's like what I've always said. I think the other soaps, when they went through a bad time, the people either left of their own accord or, unfortunately, died. But in Crossroads, we were asked to leave, which I think when popular people leave, I think audiences tend to blame the new people for the old people going.
Yes.
And I think it was a shame.
I think they did too many all at once. Too many new people. You know, you can't suddenly recast the whole thing.
It's like a family as well. I think people used to look on us or look on the characters as members of their family, and then suddenly they're all gone, and you know, it's sort of quite traumatic in a way, I think.
Nice, the voice and face of Jill there, and beside her Tony Adams, who plays Adam Chance.
Some other time,
Not some other time, yeah. And we should explain. We're sitting here on the terrace of the hotel or the motel.
Pretending it's summer.
Pretending it's summer. All your exterior shots are, of course, done.
Yes, a lot of love scenes have taken place on this wall here.
And usually when it's quite chilly like that.
Very chilly. And then to match up, actually, when it goes out, as you can see, there are no leaves on the trees. A lot of plastic flowers we used to have around.
Yeah.
But it was very difficult to match up. Yeah. And then come the winter scenes, we had lots of leaves
sweeping
on the trees.
snow out of the background shots.
Did you disrupt the normal business of the hotel here? Because, as I say, we are at the Penn Hall Hotel in North Birmingham. Did you get in the way of ordinary business here? Did they run coach trips to see Crossroads being filmed?
Yes, quite a lot of people got quite incensed about it.
They used to get very cross when they had their delivery lorries, because we kept stopping them coming up, and there'd be a queue of lorries down the drive waiting to deliver, because we were always here on Mondays. Yeah. And I think everyone delivers on Mondays.
Okay. I say today we're going to look back on the whole history of the motel, of course, and the great thing about setting a soap in a motel, of course, is that anybody can come to stay. And here are just a few of the more famous fames that have stayed at Crossroads over the years.
Cliffy, have you got it?
Look, come and sit down a minute.
Okay, but only for a little while. So, Amy says it's all happening for you.
What, with the motel, you mean? Yeah, looks like it. All I have to do is sign on the dotted line.
So you finally hit the big time.
Well, I wouldn't say that. But the old bank balance is looking a bit healthier every minute.
Oh, good.
Jane, that's absolutely amazing. How did you actually manage to get an actor of the calibre of Larry Grayson to take part in Crossroads? That must have been some coup for the programme.
Oh, I think with Larry just saying,
he lives local. Hello. Hello, Eamon.
Hi, Larry.
Oh,
and it was your roles too, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And my chauffeur, may I say, in his white uniform and with the cap with the LG on. They asked me, if they could borrow my roles, you see. And they wanted me to drive it, you see, Eamon, but of course I can't drive.
You can't drive?
I can't drive at all, no. Just a tandem with Everard.
So how did we... Well, OK, how did you actually film that?
Well, it was my side that did it because my chauffeur were in the car, you see, and then we changed places quickly, and Nolly knocked me like that, you see, and then we went off, and then my chauffeur changed over quickly and got in and drove away, you see, and everyone said, oh, Larry can drive after all then, you see. It was all rubbish, I couldn't drive at all, still can't.
Now, the reason you were obviously in the programme is because you're a very close friend of Noel Gordon.
Yeah, I knew them all very well. Right from the early days, I used to go and have lunch in the canteen there, you know, and I used to go visit Nolly. And we were great friends right from 1972, when she came on a programme I was doing called Saturday Variety, and we became great friends, and her mother too. She was wonderful. I miss her terribly still. Marvellous.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So professional. And she treated Jane and Roger just like her own children. She said to me once, Roger...
that was Roger Tongue, who played Sandy.
He's played Sandy, and Jill. They're like my family, the family I never had, Larry. And she thought the world of them both. She was very sad when Roger died, and she loved Jill.
Did you look upon her as a mother figure?
Oh, yes, in a sort of way. Well, she was very much mum to the cast. I mean, she sort of presided over us, and defended us and looked after us. And she used to, the lovely thing is, when new people used to arrive on Monday morning, they'd come through the door and she'd leap to her feet and say, hello, I'm Noel Gordon, do come in, this is where... everybody knew she was Nolly, but they were smashing.
Yeah, and we should point out, of course, that Crossroads, of course, is very near Birmingham Airport, as you will gather from the overhead traffic. But, Larry, this was not your first appearance at the hotel.
Oh, no. I checked in there once. She asked me to. They said, would you like to come and do something at Crossroads? I said, yes, I will. And I did, and I paid as myself. I checked in and had this room there. And I was very disagreeable and awful. And the next day, and first of all, I must tell you a lovely story about the fan letters that she used to get. Well, they all get. But this man used to write to her and tell her about his ferrets, believe it or not.
His ferrets?
His ferrets, yes, his ferrets. He said, I have ferrets, my wife hates them, and you're such an understanding person, Meg, and I'd love you to come out sometime to Smethwick and see my ferrets. I said, oh, darling, how awful. You should, I can't bear them. I said, well, I can't, you know. So anyway, she always telling me about these ferrets, you see. So when I was on the programme, we went out on the part where I came in to check out, and she said, have you had a good night? I said, certainly not. The bed was damp. I came out of my chalet, I fell over a bucket. She said, that would be Amy Turtle. And I said, I've had the most awful, awful night. She went, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Grace, I really am. I said, and another thing, Mrs. Richardson, all night long, there was scratching in my room. And she looked at me like that, I could see her eyes now.
This was not scripted.
No, of course not, of course not. And I said, have you got ferrets here? And her eyes went like, and of course we went out on that, dun, 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 and she went like that. Oh, the things she said about me. And then, and all the studio were in fits of laughter because they knew about this thing about the ferrets. And, oh, you know, she said, I'll get you for that, my lad, you know. Oh, she was lovely.
Well, it should be said, of course, that you were not the only famous person to stay at the motel.
Oh, indeed not.
Oh, yes.
No.
A lot of our viewers will recognise the people we're going to show you now. See if you can recognise these people. Bob Monkhouse in it, do you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps I was off having a baby.
Maybe you were.
I was always
having another affair somewhere or other. Yeah. But not an exhaustive list, Tony.
No, I was listening to the duck just now, which was the duck that went by. Do you remember that outtake with Kate Robbins?
Yeah. All right in the night.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, that wee Georgie Wood in. Do you remember him?
Oh, yes, that's right.
And Godfrey Wynne.
And Godfrey Wynne.
Far be it from me to break all this up, but we've got to bring some viewers in here. Jane Sargent's phoned in. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Hi, Jane. You're phoning from Clandudno.
That's right, Eamon.
Right. What's your question?
Well, I'd like to ask Jane and Tony, for that matter, did they become aware of the decline in the storylines and the standard of the programme at any particular time? And do they feel that these factors contributed to the downfall of the popularity of the programme?
Right. Was there any particular time that you felt the programme tailed off?
You didn't have time to think like that about the show. We did feel there was a time when it lost its identity, but that was because of the massive change that took place. But you never actually were aware that the show had gone down in any way.
Yeah, I think perhaps after Nolly went, it changed a bit.
Yes, oh, totally.
Yes.
Because the show was Nolly, I mean, without doubt.
But actually, you say the decline in popularity. Actually, this is a fallacy.
No, I think she said a decline in the standard of script, I think. Is that right, Jane?
Well, funny enough, there was a quote in the Sunday Times 2 weeks ago where Stephen Pyle, I think it was writing a column, and he said he was looking at all the soaps and he was absolutely amazed by Crossroads and said how good it was, how good the scripts were. He particularly mentioned the scripts and the acting. Isn't it funny? 11th hour, you know.
The acting?
The acting,
Good God, they don't act on Crossroads, do they?
Well, we try not to.
You're very much self-effacing. Right, let's talk to Lynn Graham, who's phoned in from Wales. Hi, Lynn.
No.
No, we don't have Lynn there. Who have we got?
And the phone went, and it was William. And he said, are you sitting down? And I said, why? Do I need to be? And he said, yes, I think you do. And then he told me. Black Thursday, wasn't it?
Black Thursday.
You were still at the studio.
I was at the studio.
I immediately phoned him so that he knew.
We all went, Leo, into a boardroom, and we were given hot wine. It wasn't meant to be hot, yes, and it was broken to us that the show. But Jane said something very interesting the other day, and that is that when Crossroads originally went on, you know, it went on for 6 weeks and 6 weeks only. And throughout that period of time, it has always been coming off. And in a funny way for us, it was a blessed relief, because after 24 years of thinking, is it going to run another year, we actually knew where we stood for once.
Because for so many times I've opened the papers and Crossroads is off, or there's been a great rumour around the studios, Crossroads is off. And this time was for
It's
real.
true.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back and talk about this more in depth with Larry Grayson and a lot of other people from the staff. But meanwhile, Patty Caldwell, where else would she be but propping up the bar inside the motel?
I'll be out there in a minute, Eamon. Now then, where would this programme be without the fans? And we have probably two of the prize-winning fans here. Welcome to Rose Ragg. Now, Rose, where have you come from?
From Exmouth in Devon.
And who's your favourite character? Jill. And you have, in fact, been corresponding with her for years, haven't you?
Yes, for a long time.
And for the first time, you're meeting her today?
Yes.
Right. And John Cavio. Now, John, where are you from?
Bournemouth.
From Bournemouth. And you've turned this into something of a life's work, haven't you, your love of Crossroads?
That's right. Yeah, I started watching it when I was 6 years old. And I'm going to continue running Crossroads myself by writing my own scripts.
Writing your own scripts to keep it alive?
Yeah.
Well, in fact, we went to John's house, and it's something of a shrine, John's house. Have a look at this.
I began watching Crossroads when I was 6 years old, believe it or not. The family watched it, and I can remember playing in the garden with my sisters, and some friends of theirs were with them. And they said, "Oh, have you seen this new programme which has just started?" And they all flocked into the house, and I joined in because I didn't want to be left alone in the garden. And it started from there, really. And then throughout my teens, it became very important for me because I had a bad adolescence. And I started a comic, and I even had a Crossroads comic strip. And I would write Crossroads stories of my own, based on what was happening and the characters who were in the programme at the moment. And I was criticised and laughed at for watching it. So eventually I started keeping it to myself. And it was almost a secret. I collected everything I could about Crossroads. Books that were published, anything in the newspapers. In fact, I collected TV Times for 7 years until I had no more room for them and I had to throw them out. But I did keep the bits relating to Crossroads. Meg was my favourite character in Crossroads. And she still is, even though she's gone. She represents the mother figure, I think, to many, many people, and especially myself. The perfect mother, who could do no wrong. When Central Television got rid of Noel Gordon, that was one of the worst things that could happen to me in my life. I was absolutely devastated. It seems strange to say it, but Crossroads had become so much a part of my life that to lose what I'd come to regard as my mother was as real as anything. April the 14th, every year, I visit Noel's grave in Ross-on-Wye, beautiful little town, market town. And I feel this is a way of thanking her for all the happiness she brought over the years. When I heard that Crossroads was going to end, I felt sad, as if I knew that a friend was dying. So I've set up the society, the Noel Gordon and Crossroads Appreciation Society, hopefully to keep the whole thing going in a small way, but under the control of the fans and those who've loved it. I've always been upset by criticism of Crossroads, because it has been the most criticised programme. But as Sir Lou Grade said, I make programmes for the viewers and not for the critics. I'm dreading the last episode, and I'm also looking forward to it. I don't know how I'll feel. I'll probably be shattered, happy and sad all together. It will be the highlight of my life so far, because it's meant so much to me over the years. It's all coming to a head on April the 4th. Sadly, I never met Noel Gordon or any of the Crossroads cast, but obviously I'd love to. It'd be a wonderful day, especially if I could meet Jill, Jane Rossington.
And a dream come true today, because here we have John, Jane Rossington and Kathy's staff. It's obviously moved you, the whole thing, and you've taken it very seriously. What do you think went wrong? Where did the producers go wrong for you?
When they decided that Noel had to go.
Yes.
I can't understand it, because Neighbours now is very much a hit, and that's how Crossroads was. So that is proof that Crossroads could have stayed exactly as it was before Noel went.
Right. Jane, now what's your reaction to this? Because clearly John here has taken it very, very seriously indeed. As he said, it was a bit like losing a member of his family.
I think what you were saying just now about Neighbours is so true, because that was produced by Reg Watson, who was our first producer. And I mean, I think the original idea was to just put on something that was with very nice people, nothing too horrendous happened in it, that you could sit and watch and know you weren't going to be offended or totally infuriated or shocked beyond belief. And I think there's a place for that, and the fact that Neighbours is now so popular shows that there is.
But do you agree with John that it was the moment when they got rid of Meg, the character, that it started to go down?
Yes, we all feel that.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, she was Crossroads. It was her show, and when they decided to finish Nolly, I think it really went downhill from then on.
What about you, Rose? Do you agree with that
Yes,
theory?
I do, yes. She was Crossroads, Noel Gordon, wasn't she? And I'd like to ask Jill, actually, how Jane Rossington felt when she waved goodbye, you know, apart from, you know, the character of Jill. How did you feel yourself?
It's all really rather ironic because, yes, we'd done all the sort of crying on the quayside before the QE2 had arrived, and then we filmed overnight. And the next day it was really terribly exciting because the band was playing, the Royal Marines were there, and then Tony suddenly appeared in well, quite a big boat, but next to the QE2 it looked rather small. And Nolly's waving and I'm waving and we're doing all our waving, and suddenly Nolly sees Tony in his boat and goes, and we're all going, and she's looking so happy and radiant because she's waving at Tony. And we're all kind of try and look a bit sadder. It was all a bit, but it was, yes, that was very sad. Mind you, it was the scene we did in that cabin on the QE2. That was terribly sad because it was really for real, and we knew it was.
Yeah.
And so really the goodbye, although it maybe looks the most emotional, as I say, it was quite exciting with the Marines and the QE2 and all the noise and the excitement. Yeah.
Now, what other questions have you got for them? I know you've lots. You could stay here for hours, couldn't you?
Well, my burning question is, how was Meg to have been written back into the series? Because I know she was reading scripts shortly before she died. Do you know how?
Yes, it was when the motel was going to be taken over by MIH. Is it MI? I never got it right, even in those days. MIH. And Jill was going through a great traumatic time.
Again.
Oh, well, part of the course.
I always thought you were a bit too nice for some of the awful things that happened to you.
Well, you know, we try to, pass over these things. And so she was going to come back, really, from New York, and we were going to have all these scenes together. And then, of course, by then, it was apparent that she was so ill, and she had, she'd made quite a good recovery, and then suddenly she went downhill very rapidly. And so they had to do a massive rewrite, and Ted Clayton came in, which really wasn't at all right, because we'd parted on such bad terms.
Yes.
However.
What was were you particular friends with Meg?
Oh, yes, she was a lovely lady and so professional.
Yes.
That is one thing. I mean, she was the star of the show, but she never behaved like the star of the show. She was always one of us. Whatever we had to do, she did, just the same. I mean, she never had that star
I gather
image
she had a
herself.
particular withering look if she wanted to make her point.
Well, she was very professional, and she couldn't stand people not being professional around her.
Right. We've got in our Glasgow studio, we have Rodney Berman. Hello, Rodney.
Hello.
Hello. What question would you like to ask?
Well, I've got a question for Jane. If Jill had to choose just one of the many men that have been in her life, which one do you think should have been happiest
Oh, that's a good one.
Why?
Oh. Do you mean in real life, or...?
No, Jill, the character.
Oh, very good, love.
Well, I suppose really the most satisfying relationship I've had is the one I've had with Adam, because it's come and it's gone, and we've had various developments within it. The conflicts and everything. That's been, yes, I think that's been perhaps my most successful.
And you get on so well off.
Yeah, and
as
off
well.
we get on very well. Yes.
This has a lot to do with it.
It makes life
Very
easy
important.
if you get on with somebody.
Yes.
So it's Adam. Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
Tony. Right, another question, Rodney.
Yes, in former days, particularly when Jack Barton was producer, Crossroads was no stranger to tackling serious social issues. Which one do you think had the most impact?
Well, there was a lot. I mean, obviously, there were some very strong stories. We did a story about a girl with Down syndrome. That was a very effective one. Of course, for me, the most effective one was when I was hooked on Valium. And, you know, when I read their scripts, I said, I don't believe this. I'm sorry. Has somebody done some really good research? You know, I was convinced it couldn't be right. And the director, Michael Hart, went off and he came back and said, no, Jane, what is in the script is exactly what happens. We are concertinaing it a little because it will probably happen over 18 months, but all the shaking and the shuddering and feeling cold and all this. And that was the most traumatic because, you know, when you shiver, when you stand and shiver, it's to warm you up. Well, when you're already in the studio and it's hot and the lights are on and you've got a great big rug round you because you're supposed to be shivering and feeling the cold, and then you're shivering. By the end of recording it, I was absolutely running in perspiration and shattered.
Rodney, are you going to miss the show?
Oh, very much so, yes.
You sound to me a bit like John.
Yes.
What did you think of that film of John talking about his love of the programme? Do you agree with it?
Oh, yes, but I can sort of see some similarities.
Well, perhaps you two should get in touch. What do you think?
Yes, well, maybe.
Bit of comfort for each other there. Stay with us till later in the programme, Rodney, if you'd like to join in again. And we'll be looking in more detail about the social issue side of Crossroads later in the programme.
Lynette McMurrow, as Glenda.
Yes.
Of the many things you got up to, of course, you had a test tube baby.
Yes.
Now, did you do much research on that yourself to find out about test tube babies?
I read up a bit about it, and Jack Barton arranged for us to go and meet a couple who actually had test tube twins, funnily enough, and we went and spent a day with them. But that was strange because, I mean, they'd had the babies then in the sense that they were just ordinary babies, you know what I mean? But a lot of research was done in the scripts, obviously. There was a lot of big words I had to learn at that point, you know, but it was interesting.
And as a sub-character, are you aware of the support that you give to ordinary viewers watching, helping them through a crisis like this?
Oh, very much so. I mean, we had lots of letters, and I think at one point there was a slight worry as to how people would receive it and how the viewers would receive it, but it was once that the test tube baby thing was talked about, and then it became an ordinary pregnancy and an ordinary baby, do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was received very well.
Well, talking about pregnancies, now we have in our Birmingham studio Angela Webb, who you may remember played Iris in Crossroads. Hi, Angela.
Good morning, everyone up there.
And Angela, I mean, boy, was your life complicated as well. Now, you had what was called a phantom pregnancy, isn't that right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Oh, you remember that one?
You're jogging my memory, thank you.
How could you forget? Now, I've got a chap up in Scotland, in Glasgow, called Rodney, who wants a bit of question to you. Hi, Rodney.
Hello.
Rodney, what's your surname, sorry?
Berman.
Right, Rodney Merman there. Rodney, now you want to speak to Angela Webb, don't you?
No, it was Lynette I wanted to speak to.
Oh, was it Lynette? Okay. Right, what's your question?
Well, your daughter in the programme, Katie Louise, was actually played by your own daughter, Emily, and I just wondered what sort of problems it posed working with your own child.
Yes, it was very nice to have her with me, obviously, when she was tiny, but as she got a bit bigger, it was a bit being torn between being a mother and being an actress, if you know what I mean, because I was constantly worrying about trying to remember my lines and not bumping into the furniture at the same time. So there were little elements of worry as a mother, really, and if she'd start crying in somebody else's scene, which didn't always go down very well. But it was very nice to have her with me. I was very lucky, really, to do that.
Yeah. Actually, going back to Angela Webb, now, Angela, we're talking about a social awareness here, a social conscience. Now, I would put it to you that you didn't have a social conscience, because if we would just recap on the plot. Now, you were Glenda's...
Iris didn't have a social conscience. I did.
Let me get this straight. You were Glenda's cousin, right?
That's right.
But you had an affair not only with Glenda's brother, but Glenda's husband, isn't this right? And you also accused Glenda's father, correct me if I'm wrong, of raping you, or rape, is that right? Have I got this right?
This did happen over many years.
But you did have a social conscience, you tell me. You're a kind, caring person.
As Iris, Iris has a problem as a character because she came from a broken home, chip on the shoulder, you know, typical soap character. But I always felt that, you know, as Angela Webb, there's no way I'd have got into any of her situations.
We'll believe you on that one, but do you think it was a bit contrived, the storyline?
No, not at all, because as the storyline goes along, people are writing to you saying, like, I've been in that situation and you're acting it out, and this is how I felt, and I believe what you're doing, and that makes you think, yes, although sometimes you read them and, well, maybe to me this is a bit far-fetched, but to somebody out there, it's their problem.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, Lynette, I'm actually surprised that you still talk to her.
I know.
She's my friend.
Really?
Are you all on your own?
All on my own, Lynette. I can't believe it.
No, but you look nice. I like.
So do
like
you. I love the
carpet.
outfit.
So you two became friendly really through acting on the series?
Yeah, partners in crime, really, I think you could say about us. In our younger days, of course. Could we say hello to our daughters?
You could, yes, go on.
Can I go first?
There you are, that camera there.
Hello, Emily. Thank you.
Angela, have you anyone you want to say hello to before we finish?
Oh, yes, Nancy, hello, good morning. Hello to Spot. Love you.
Are you going to be sorry to see it all come to an end, Angela, even though you're not involved in it?
Yes, actually, watching the programme, your programme this morning, I've laughed a lot, and I've also felt really watery in the eyes. I thought, this is awful. And listening to the chap that was on earlier on, God, my heart really went out to him. I thought, this is terrible for people, really.
And did you live in hope of Iris coming back into the programme? Was there a way that Iris could have come back in?
Well, I was actually pregnant in real life when I left the programme, so I sort of wanted to spend quite a lot of time with my daughter, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to if I was involved with the programme. And I was 5 months pregnant when I left. I sort of walked around for about 3 months with a tray in front of my stomach, so I was quite relieved to go in the end.
Angela, we have lovely talking to you today. I bet you there are loads of people at home that go and say, oh yes, I remember her. Yes,
That's right, that's right, yeah.
Lynette, for the moment, thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Pat Osborne, thank you very much indeed for telling us about the Crossroads care scheme, and long may it flourish.
Around here with tears in their eyes. I never thought I'd feel this way about Crossroads, but there you go. We have here back with Tony Adams, Jane Rossington, Larry Grayson and Paul Henry Benny. Now, we've actually got quite a few people on the line who want to talk to you. You were a very popular character.
One was my wife asking me what I want for tea, wasn't it?
All right, tell us, what do you want for tea? Do you miss being Benny?
Oh, I miss the character, yeah. He's a lovely character, I mean.
That's not what the producers thought in the last year, is it?
Well, no, not really. I don't think they were very fond of the character in latter years.
It was all a bit nasty for you at the end, wasn't it?
Well, just after 12 years of such good time and, you know...
Yes. Well, we've got
Clash of personalities.
Clash of personalities. Did you say anything you shouldn't to them?
I was just very upset the way they were trying to take the character. I mean, I know he was the village idiot. He was a child-like, but I think they were trying to make him too stupid. And,
Too stupid.
Yeah.
We got a call from Margot Owen now. Margot, hello. What's your question?
Hello. I'd like to speak to Benny.
Right.
Benny, are you going to absolutely miss being in Crossroads?
It's Paul, actually, love, but this does happen a lot.
I've known him as Benny, hasn't he?
Yeah, of course I'm going to miss him. He was, as I said, he was a fabulous character. But all good things come to an end.
Yes, I know. My daughter will miss it. She's watched it ever since, you know, well, I've watched it since it first started, and I first saw you come into it, when you first started into it. Yeah. And that's a good many years ago now.
Margot, you're not going to cry on us, are you?
I have been.
Yeah.
And seeing Larry there, you know,
Yes.
brought a lot of memories back.
Yes, my father.
Larry, Larry, it's extraordinary, isn't it, the nostalgia around?
Oh, absolutely, yes. When I used to go over to the studio quite a lot, Sydney, I used to meet Jane and Tony. We used to, in the canteen, we had lots of laughs. There were lovely, happy times. There really were. And it's brought a lot of old people used to watch it, you know, all the time, and it filled a lot of those archives in their lives, you know.
Yes.
Like Mrs. Dale's Diary years ago, people used to listen to that,
Yes.
and it's brought a lot of happiness to people.
Let's been able to do anything now that you've not been able to do?
Oh yes, I've been able to travel, I've been able to get out, and I didn't actually feel sad at all until today, because I would
Really?
like to say on behalf of us all, the beautiful way this programme has been presented by the BBC has it's really given Crossroads the end it deserves. That's made it very sad today.
It is sad today. It is. I feel quite nostalgic, and I used to think I didn't like Crossroads, but I'm not saying that. Right, Larry, talking about the end, do you think that most people have come to the conclusion that at the beginning of the end was when Noel went?
Yes.
Do you think that that Noel's illness was made worse by the second?
Oh, I do indeed.
Do you?
Oh, yes, I think we all do we not, Tony?
killed her.
Yes, because it was her life, as Tony said, it was her life. I remember when I was at the Palladium and I had Noel as my leading lady, and we said about getting her in the show, and she said, only if I can go back every night and do Crossroads and then come up for the first show, which she did. And afterwards, they wanted to send the show out on tour, a month at Manchester, a month at Bristol, and I said to, oh, Nolly, it'd be wonderful. She said, I can't, Larry. What would Crossroads do without me? I could never leave
Well,
them.
look what's happened.
Exactly.
We've got somebody on the line getting too sad.
Don't cry now. Pull yourself together, don't cry.
I want to hear the worst embarrassing moment. Which one can we choose of all the moments that you had?
Oh, I know one. I had a scene with Ronnie, and we both had names to say. He had to say a name, and I had to say the village where this girl lived. And we had this lovely scene where we just either side of the desk chatting away. And Ronnie had this wonderful sort of smooth delivery, you know, and voice goes on.
Yeah.
And I sort of vaguely felt there was something not quite right with the scene, but it seemed to be going on. And then it came to me, and I said, oh yes, now where does she live? And I couldn't remember the name of this village, and I just said, North Leach. We carried on for another half page, and eventually somebody wandered up and said, Jane, she doesn't live in... I said, I know she doesn't live in North Leach. And Ronnie said, well, I never gave you the name either. He just sort of muttered it.
Yeah, we don't want this to descend into a wake now.
Oh, hey, man.
I know you'll all be getting very, very depressed.
Yes, we're all getting a bit depressed
No,
here.
no, we're going to cheer you up. Just before we do that, there's something I've been dying to know, and you two could answer this. Do you know when extras or guests check in at the reception, you would always hand them the key with different saying, yes, your chalet is chalet 14, round to the right there, and they would go, but they would never say anything. Why was that?
They were not allowed to. They had to
They've
be
got
paid more
paid.
money.
Come on, let's have some champagne.
Was it £5, Tony? I think they paid if they said one word.
Did you enjoy your stay?
Oh, yes.
Come on, then.
Well, anyway, here we've got some champers here, and I wonder what our fans have got planned. John, what have you got planned then on Easter Monday night when you're sitting watching the last episode of Crossroads?
Well, I'd like to sit with my family, as we were when we first watched it, all together.
Really? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to uncork the champagne.
Sorry,
That's all right. Sorry.
In the glass.
Sorry, we'll get it in the glass there. Right. Well,
There
all I
we
can
go.
say is,
Pour some of
yes,
this?
pour. Everybody's got some there.
Okay.
Thank you very much. John, I think you should have some.
Indeed.
You're going to need it.
What
aren't
a
you?
loyal fan he's been, Pat.
Well,
He's been
Rosie
absolutely
Bragg, I know, has got a toast she would like to propose. Have you got a glass, Rosie?
Everybody got a glass?
There you are. There's a glass.
Okay, Rosie.
Thank you.
And I know we can speak on behalf of many, many viewers, and certainly in Northern Ireland I can speak for them, where it is very, very popular, Crossroads.
Nearly dropped it.
And thank you all for the many, many hours of entertainment and nostalgia you have given everyone over the years, but Rosemary, I think, can put it better than that.
Yeah, on behalf of all the viewers of Crossroads, I'd like to thank all the members of the cast all over the years for the wonderful entertainment they've given us. Here's to you all.
Cheers.
Cheers to the viewers. Thanks for watching us.
To the viewers.
Cheers.
God bless.
Thank you.
I should say that Open Air will be back again at 9:05 tomorrow, when we'll be saying goodbye to BBC Television's Managing Director, Bill Cotton. And we will be continuing the sub-theme on Wednesday week when we visit Emmerdale Farm, which I don't think's been scrapped. It's got many, many years left. Maybe you'll get a part in Emmerdale Farm. From all of us here.
Cheers. Cheers, everyone.